Kia ora koutou katoa, no mai haere mai, and welcome to the Political Power Hour. I'm your host, Holly Bennett, and we're here for another episode joined by the one, the only, Tau Henare.
Kia ora. What do you mean a one and only?
You had to say things on a podcast
okay.
so that we get some audio.
Cool.
How are you going, Tau?
I'm going very well. I'm enjoying life. Life is a breeze.
Why is it a breeze?
Because
you're not in politics?
Because I'm not in politics. I'm not married. I'm just cruising. Yeah.
Awesome. What did you get up to today?
What did I get up to today? I went into the office in the Independent Māori Statutory Board.
Yeah.
Had a gossip with the staff. Mihi to our new person.
Awesome.
That has just started with us.
Yes.
Found out that our other person that's just started with us is in hospital.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so he's recovering. He's okay.
Okay, good.
But no, it's cool. It's this time of year is always cool. Nice weather. People just starting to get back into the
good vibe.
Yeah, it's
good
cool.
Vibe. Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't know if you've seen the show before.
No.
Your answer is just supposed to be yes, regardless.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. So what we do is we talk about everything to do with politics.
Yep.
And
that should take 5 minutes.
No.
Oh.
No. We're going to have a long, robust discussion, you and I. And then we cover the top 5 stories of the week.
Yep.
And then we sort of have a chat about that. So if you are watching out there, I have put the stories up on LinkedIn so you can see what they are in advance. And feel free to send us through any pātai that you might have. So questions for Tau or myself. Probably not me because, I don't have a lot of things to say. And what we always do when we wrap up the show is that we get our guest to write a note for the following week's guest.
Oh, okay.
So our guest last week was the ACT Party leader, David Seymour, and he wrote you a note.
True.
So when we were sitting here on the show last week, he said, what should I say to Tau? And I said, don't ask a lobbyist what to say to to a fellow politician. But I do have the note. So that's what we're going to kick off the show with.
Oh,
You've
true.
got to open the note. See?
Did he lick it?
Possibly.
Coronavirus.
Nah. I don't think that David...
Has he been to China lately?
Exactly.
He doesn't go anywhere.
Yes, he does.
No, he just hangs in New Zealand.
He went to America like 2 weeks ago.
No, not for the Trump thing.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, bro.
So.
Kia ora, Tau. Love your Twitter handle. You're sober. All the best. You know me.
What are you doing on Twitter that's making other politicians say they love your Twitter handle?
Oh, I love Twitter. I think it's people, a lot of older folk, like my age, they say, social media this, social media that. There's a lot of rubbish. Social media is the best thing since sliced bread.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons, I think, is because it gets to everybody. Whatever platform you're on, and it could be Instagram, I caught my moko on TikTok the other day having a look at this stupid video. But hey, if that's what rattles her cage, that's cool.
Yeah.
At Facebook, Twitter, I think it's just another way of getting a message to somebody.
So what do you think, though, about Twitter? Because I made a Twitter handle for Political Power Hour for the show.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, I followed all the parties and all the news outlets, things politically aligned. It seems to be quite a...
Is it boring?
No.
Oh.
No, not at all. Everyone's sort of having a go at one another.
Yeah, it's cool.
Is that why you like it?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Who was the most recent person that you...
Just somebody right now.
What did they do? Come on. We want to know.
Mate, I tell you, I was just checking in just before we went to air.
Yeah.
And this guy called me a political opportunist and blah, blah, blah.
But isn't that what politics is about? Opportunity?
Of course it is, but this idiot wouldn't know that stuff from Clay. So I basically said, listen, if you, cool that you want to have a go at me,
yeah,
and being an opportunist and all this sort of carry on, but at the end of the day, these people, these fellas, never stand for Parliament. So regardless of whether I dislike people in politics, I love all the MPs, even David.
David.
And here's the reason why. Because every one of them stands up and says, I'm running, hi, my name's so-and-so and I'm running for Parliament.
Yeah.
You know, now, who else in their right mind would do that?
It's difficult.
I know, it's really difficult. I mean, I found it really, really hard at the beginning.
Yeah.
In the end, I thought, oh, this is the gig.
Yeah. So when did you first have that inkling that you were going to go into politics?
I was about 14.
14?
Yeah, I learned that my great-grandfather had been a member of Parliament.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is the go.
Because illustrious name in Te Ao Māori, in Māoridom, Henare.
Yeah. But, I mean, I didn't know that until later on.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
My name when I was a kid was Raymond.
Yeah.
My birth name on my birth certificate is Raymond Tau Henare.
So why did you... So, hold on. Okay, so
it wasn't me that changed it. I went throughout a period of my life.
Yeah.
Raymond, Bro.
Yeah.
You know, other names. And then when I got sort of involved in politics and just local community stuff, a couple of other people started calling me Tau. And I didn't know how they... came to know that was my middle name. But I got used to it. And from that day on, everybody called me Tau.
I've only ever known you as Tau.
Yeah. The interesting thing is if I bump into somebody from my past, if they call me Raymond, I went to school with them.
Ah.
If they call me Tau, then I know around about which era they met me.
And so you're an Ōtara man through and through, right?
274.
Hey.
Hard, all the time. Even though I live in West Auckland, have done for the last 35 odd years.
Yeah.
Ōtara will always be my home. I'm hearty urban. I love the fact that Ōtara is still a blooming community of people with ideas, with vision, with kaha, great sports people, great community people. Wonderful community.
What do you think of the representation out there at the moment? There. Yeah,
what representation? I mean, politics is boring as far as I'm concerned. I think a lot of the pollies, both National and Labour, are starting to look like each other.
Okay.
And they talk like each other. They explain like each other. You used the word before, robust. Parliament's not robust. It's about mimicking the leader, and that's it.
Do you think that, so going off that sort of train of thought, Jacinda and Simon then are quite similar?
Nah. Jacinda's better than Simon. Better looking anyway. Look, I quite like Jacinda.
Yeah.
And I've always been sort of centre. I've been centre.
Yeah.
I hate to call myself centre right, but I suppose a lot of people call me a fascist and belong to the, alt-right, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Is that Twitter? Is that those Twitter people?
Yeah, that's the Twitter people. I mean, a lot of people don't realise that in New Zealand, left and right, there's not a lot of difference.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. I know that the members of the Labour Party will have a different view and the members of the National Party will have a different view as well.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, come on. They're both into building roads.
Yeah.
They're
both the party of infrastructure.
Yeah,
both of them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Grant Robertson didn't come in with this huge, socialist and communist agenda.
Yeah.
He's basically doing exactly what the last Minister of Finance did, tweaking it as he goes along.
Yeah.
I actually think he's been the standout minister.
Yeah.
for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Jacinda is a person who is really great at being the picture
Yeah.
of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, she may not be the lead minister, but people like her.
Yeah.
And people overseas.
Relatable.
Yeah, and people overseas like her.
Yep.
And that's got to be good for your country.
Yeah.
In terms of the National Party, yes, Simon's all right. You know, as a fella, he's okay. He's not this ogre that I see on Twitter. Although, if I had been him at Waitangi, I certainly wouldn't have talked about roads.
Yeah, I think it was a bit off the mark.
Yeah.
For what that...
for the occasion.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what would have gone down really well?
What?
And I mean, and I say this in all, I don't know what the word is, humility. Up in the north, we used to be quite conservative.
Yeah.
And very supportive of the National Party.
Mm-hmm.
If he had have gone to Waitangi and said, "Kia ora, my name's Simon Bridges, and as of today, the National Party will be running candidates in the Māori electorates," that would have gone down really, really well.
Yeah.
Hey, they wouldn't have stood a chance at winning,
Yeah.
but at least it's about recognising your history.
Yeah.
And the National Party has a big history in terms of candidates running for the... Look at Winston. Winston was a candidate for the National Party
Yeah.
for Northern Māori back in 72 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny that you raise that. We had Simeon Brown, MP for Pakuranga,
Yep.
National Party MP, on the show. I said to him, "What announcements can you tell me coming up?" He said, "We've got a lot of announcements coming up in the election year. You have to wait and see." And I said, "Is one of them that National's going to be running people in Māori seats?"
Yep.
I think the time is nigh for it to, draw a line in the sand, commit to it,
Yeah.
or completely say
They're
that.
scared. They're scared because they think that it'll upset their core voter.
Right.
And which is a lot of bollocks, actually. I mean, I think it's time for politics to get real, down to earth.
Yeah.
And stop talking this all pre-planned agenda
Yeah.
that your party leader and 4 others came up with.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is.
Yeah. So do you still have your National Party membership?
No, I don't.
Will you get it again and run in a...
No, I just got sent the renewal and I binned it. And basically I tweeted about it. I said, no, not after Waitangi, and especially not after what Simon's whole gang thing. Because, to me, the gang stuff has all been as a result of what happened in the 80s, what happened in the 70s, a result of what politicians did.
That talk me through, what did they do in the 80s which led to the situation that we've got now where we are seeing an increase in gang violence?
Oh, look, I remember the days of the Stormtroopers versus the Hells Angels on a Friday night outside Rendell's.
Yeah.
In the car park and those sorts of things.
For clarity,
But
for me, what's Rendell's?
Oh, Rendell's used to be hey, don't you know?
I have no idea.
You're such a millennial. No, it's a shop. It's like Farmers.
Oh, okay.
It's like Farmers. The sports store in those days was a thing called Beggs Wiseman's. It wasn't Rebel Sport. Anyway, I digress. I mean, it's basically mid-70s. You see the beginning of the downtrodden, our generation, my mates, and even older, I suppose my brother's age. And he, be 62 now, 63.
Yeah.
So the genesis of it is not looking after Māori people, a huge unemployment of Māori people, or the beginnings of unemployment, the beginnings of poor education, not really, it's just basically shunting people through the system rather than educating them, rather than teaching them, rather than these kids learning. So they bugger off to hang with themselves and create their own families, create their own fun.
What about those Māori, though, that they could have that option to go down there, but they refuse not to, and they decide to...
Oh, like me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was too scared. I didn't want to end up in prison. I was scared of going to prison. That's the only reason I didn't join up. But that's
But you're not that situation. I don't think will be unique.
But that's but that's too easy an excuse to say, well, he didn't. Why couldn't you? That's when you get generations of unemployment, when you get generations of being forgotten about. I think that if you tell somebody generation after generation after generation that you're sick, dumb, and uneducated,
Sure.
you're going to be sick, dumb, and uneducated. And so you form relationships with other people, and hey, gangs against. But here's the thing. Well, I don't know why people are so scared of gangs. I've got a view, and I have this view. I don't know whether it comes from the right wing or the left wing or the centre or whatever.
Twitter.
Or Twitter. If you do something against the law, you should pay for it. Cops will come and get you. So for the gang member who does something wrong, against the law, and the businessman who does something wrong against the law, treat them the same.
Yeah.
Why do you want to treat them any differently?
Oh,
they broke the law.
Absolutely, and I'm definitely not excusing white collar crime. If I was to go back into the legal profession, I think that would be the number one thing that I'd want to have a look at. Tax evasion,
party political donations.
That one too. That's very interesting. I think that's extremely fascinating. But go back to this gang point. What about the fact that they're tipping methamphetamine into our communities?
Oh yeah, but that's not as a result of being in a gang.
But I understand
because there are other people who aren't members of gangs who are doing exactly the same. So there are lawyers, there are accountants, there are business people tipping meth into our community. Here's the thing. Are
they the ones that are executing people in Tauranga?
Well, I wouldn't put it past them.
Okay.
See, we think that the problem is the gangs. No, it's not. The problem is the drugs. It doesn't matter.
Oh, well, absolutely.
But it doesn't. Yeah, but it doesn't matter who does it. They're both wrong. They're both guilty, and they both should be in jail.
Then the argument, if we're on that track, and we talk about drugs, then because people have got a lot of really strong opinions about drugs. What would you say about this government moving towards decriminalising drugs?
Oh no, see, there's the mistake that you make is decriminalising drug use.
Yeah,
I'm in favour of decriminalising weed. I'm in favour of actually making it legal, weed.
So legalising
marijuana.
Talk me through that. How's that come about?
I can go. More people die on our roads through alcohol. More people top themselves because they've been on alcohol. More relationships end because the partners or one of them has been on the grog. Yeah. But that's legal. There's a huge business around alcohol.
Driving drunk is not legal.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, whoop-de-doo.
Well,
but there are others about, other issues with alcohol that create havoc in our communities.
Yeah, we definitely...
And that's not just mentioning drinking and driving.
Yeah.
My view is if you put rules around alcohol, why can't you put the same rules that you have for alcohol around weed? Why can't you?
Well, I guess that you can.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm voting for. Yay for the Greens.
At the referendum?
Yeah, hell yes.
So you think rather than just moving one step to decriminalisation, you are going the second step to legalisation?
Yeah. That's personally, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Now, take me through when you started in politics. So you said that you got the first idea to be in politics at 14. How long until you made that first move towards running?
It would have been actually, that's an interesting point. So when I was 14, that's around 1974, 73, 74.
Yeah.
I ran for Parliament in 93.
Okay.
Yeah, back end of 93.
So
that's 21 years, 20 years, and I got in as a 33-year-old.
Yeah.
I stood for New Zealand First.
Yeah.
I stood with Winston.
Yeah.
I got to say, I tipped my hat to the old man.
Yeah.
He basically got me in. I mean, okay, yeah, my name resonated with quite a few people in the north.
Yeah.
My mouth could handle it.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the banter,
Yeah.
the kōrero. But let's not forget, I'd been talking in front of hundreds of people before then,
Yeah.
so I was used to it. But a big part of my win in '93 is because of Winston.
And you were made deputy leader.
Well, because I was the only other one now. It's not as if I had. They had a choice.
What is Winston like?
Winston's the wiliest old politician I've ever met. You know, I met him when I was 18.
Did you?
Yeah, we used to hang out at the Otara Public Library. And he was the local MP.
Okay.
He was the MP for Henare.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, he was sharp, you know, nice wavy hair, nice handsome fella, dark. and he took the time to say hello to us,
Yeah.
to us young fellas.
What was the best bit of advice Winston ever gave you? When
I don't think he ever gave me any advice.
Didn't he?
No, hell no.
No?
When you're with Winston, you don't have to get advice. All you need to do is watch
Yeah.
and listen and see how he interacts with people.
Yeah.
And you know, quite frankly, he's the best foreign affairs minister because he never diss on his own country.
Mm-hmm.
He will always pump it up. He has manners to burn.
Yeah.
You know, he's well dressed. You know, all of those sorts of things. He's not slovenly. Say what you will about his politics, and I don't even know his politics. I think they're nostalgic, nationalistic politics.
Yeah.
You know, yearning for the 1960s when he grew up.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, he's the quintessential marketer of your country when he's outside the country.
What do you think is their biggest challenge in the lead into election 2020? New Zealand First.
Their biggest challenge is getting the 5%.
Yeah.
Their biggest challenge is do you go after the 5% or do you go after a seat?
So that would be Northland, right?
Well, people say it'll be Northland, but I mean, I'm not sure whether it's as easy as, you know, giving people the money for the railways and planting a few trees.
What would you do?
I'd vote for them. And here's the reason why. That in all my experience,
Yeah.
not one politician, not one government has fronted up to the people of Northland and said, here's $100 million for the railway. Let's get it moving. You know, and now we've got 5 projects up in the north that would polish the jewel in New Zealand's crown.
Yeah.
Everybody used to say to me, Northland is the jewel in the nation's crown.
Yeah.
Well, now's the time to polish it. So the 5 things are, obviously, Ports of Auckland move to Whangarei or Marsden Port, double tracking of the line Whangarei to Marsden to Auckland.
Yeah.
You move the Navy to Whangarei as well.
Yeah.
You build a dry dock, because it's a deep water port in Whangarei. And you open up the whole of the north. And that's economic opportunity. I believe that the old kōrero for Māori, tino rangatiratanga, is actually about economic sovereignty.
Absolutely.
And it's on an individual basis, because when you got families being able to work and earn good coin, then it's more than bread and butter on the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the shelter, it's the education, it's the recreation.
That sounds pretty close to New Zealand First manifesto. Are we going to be hearing an announcement about you running for New Zealand First?
No, I doubt it. I doubt whether they'd have me back. No. I just think that. So I think that Northland has the opportunity to put to really cement New Zealand First. They've won it before with Winston.
Yeah. So they've got, so at the moment, the 2 MPs up there, and if we're taking Calvin out of it with his seat, if we're thinking about the main electorate seats, we've got Dr. Shane Reti from National and Matt King from National. What would be your advice as one of the most effective Māori politicians, whether you accept that title or not, I'm giving it to you, one of the most effective Māori politicians, you know, what would be your advice to them?
Oh, my advice is for New Zealand First, and more particularly Shane, is to go hard. You got an opportunity, mate. That's a golden opportunity. But here's the thing. It's Shane we're talking about.
Yeah.
Shane likes to campaign from his kitchen window.
Yeah.
And Shane has to get around. I mean, everybody knows who he is.
Yeah.
And he's bombastic. He's beautiful. He's a beautiful speaker.
Oh, great.
Both in Māori and in English. Yeah. But that's not going to win him the election. What's going to win him the election is what they've already delivered, but plus getting out there. Go to the TABs, go to the markets, and lose the sort of arrogance.
The Wellingtonness.
Yeah, it is. I mean, because it's all Beltway stuff down there, eh?
Yeah. That's what I don't like about Twitter. They care about things that are just relatively irrelevant to most Kiwis.
Yeah, and then you just tell them to F off.
Now, do you think that you will ever get back into politics?
I always want to. I have a love for the place, the debating chamber, question time, even select committees sometimes. But the opportunity has to arise. Yeah. You can't just be a continual candidate.
Yeah.
If I'm going to run, I want to know that I've got a half decent chance of winning.
Would it be back in one of those South Auckland seats, perhaps?
Oh, you never know. I mean, Botany is interesting.
Yeah.
The new seat of what's it called?
Oh, the one that they're doing in Port Waikato.
No. The one out in I can't remember. It's named after a school actually out there. Is it not Finlayson? That's Chris.
Imagine that if we had a Chris Finlayson
No,
seat.
it's a new seat. It's a new seat.
I don't know. I have to have a look.
Yeah, Google it.
Okay.
It starts with F. Is it? Hell, I don't even know. Maybe it won't be that seat if I can't remember the bloody name.
Yeah, hopefully none of those voters are watching right now.
But I mean, hey, I'd love to give a Māori seat a go.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because I take a leaf out of what Winston's done.
Yeah.
And that is that you negotiate with whoever wants to be PM. And you say, okay, this time, and I think he did a brilliant job of getting a couple of $1 billion,
Yeah.
It's look what he's done for the racing industry, and I don't want to go too much into that because somebody out there will say, oh, he only did that because they gave him some money. And I think Winston's love of horses and the racing industry goes deeper than just a few bob being given to him as a political party. I mean, if we want to talk about an issue, it is the donation stuff, and what you need to do is have a committee of people headed up by the Governor-General and get an independent group of people to write the law on donations and have no politicians tinkering with it. Because, I mean, have you ever heard of more of a conflict of interest than politicians writing the law for politicians? Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
One thing that has interested me, I was going to say concern, but it's not concern because I'm not concerned at all, interested me about this political donations debate is several people have started to drag in what I do for a living, lobbying.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on lobbyists in general? Don't tell me you hate them because then I might have to get up and leave.
No, I mean, hey, a lobbyist is it's just another job, and if somebody wants to pay you to lobby a politician or a government minister on an issue, I don't care. Why would it worry me? That's using your skills and your contacts in the place to be able to put the view of either that singular person or that group of people across the table to the minister.
How I try to explain it to a lot of people is essentially it's advocacy. Yeah. And I watch a lot of MPs lobby themselves, to lobby their parties or other parties, and I just think it's part of what a democracy is. But if we when I see these two issues conflated, I find it really difficult then, especially to even pass comment because, I'm trying to talk about my industry. I have nothing to do with any money passing hands to any political party.
But that's like the unions. The unions will advocate on behalf of a group of workers So why
Absolutely.
can't you advocate on behalf of another group of
And
people?
no one can say that that the unions don't have a place. 'Cause
Oh, no, they do.
Absolutely have a place.
Yeah, oh, they do. They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and hey, look, the unions give money to the Labour Party and the Greens or whoever they want to.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's cool. As long, see, I don't mind people giving money.
Yep.
And I hate the fact that we might even go down the path of getting having state funded.
Yeah, no.
You know, that's just wrong to use my taxes for a party that I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Get out. It's like asking me to donate to ACT. Get the hell out of here. Nah.
Sorry, David, you're not getting any money from those.
Nah. Hey, Dave is an interesting character because he's been given an I wouldn't say an easy run, but a clear run. You know, by the Nats.
What do you mean clear up? Because he has that Epsom seat.
Exactly.
His voters still vote him in there, though.
Yeah, that's right. But they've been told, you know, the National Party members out in Epsom, and they're all basically members of the National Party, and they get letters and they get the old nudge and they say, hey, you know. So it's a bit of a sweetheart deal.
Do you think that he's not deserving of the seat?
I think he would be more deserving of the seat if he ran against a National Party candidate that was actually running to win the seat.
Are you saying that Paul Goldsmith's not running to win the seat?
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Goldsmith shouldn't run
Okay.
because I think it's telling lies to the electorate.
What would you do differently?
What do you mean?
Would you pull a National Party person from
Oh,
that
yeah,
seat?
hell, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, because I think it's just smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
And I think you're just trying to have the electorate on.
Right.
You know, and I personally, I just don't think it's right.
Thinking about, so one of the things that David did in his time, and we're not actually here to talk about David because I spoke to him last week.
Yep.
And, you know, everyone, if you want to hear it from David, just go watch that episode. But is the end of life choice bill.
So he brought in a bill that he wants to kill people. Eh?
What is your view on that bill? What is your
well, I
view?
wouldn't have voted for it, and I never have.
Okay.
And, I didn't vote for Michael Laws's bill either. So.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but that's just a personal call.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a personal call. I just don't think that it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Do you think that it will come through at the referendum, or no?
I think it'll. I'm not sure. I think people are a hell of a lot more progressive than they used to be.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more millennials, and all the boomers are dying off.
Yeah, my generation's an interesting generation.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I'm really interested in how young people, like my kids' age, and they're all sort of 35 down.
Yeah.
How they vote, how they talk, what sort of views they have.
Well, a lot of them are just disengaged. A lot of them, if we're talking about the broad brush millennial facet, they're just unengaged with what's...
Too many of them away with the fairies, mate.
Well, they seem to...
No, I
They from what I see, and that's one of the reasons why, Robert Hollis helped bring this show to life, actually get sort of a newer spin on politics, because it doesn't have to all be boring, it doesn't have to be, like you say, in the house following a leader and then trying to read off a speech, it can absolutely be about a sharing of ideas. And if we don't get on with ideas, because I can tell you right now, huge respect for you, don't agree at all on gangs, but that's all right.
Typical. Because that's your national background, that's why.
I think that might be that Mark Bennett background, actually.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. Hey, Mark.
Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about our 5 news stories.
Cool.
And I'm just really interested in your whakaaro on some of these topics. Now, the first one is the Prime Minister's statement.
What'd she say again?
So I got a quote out of one of the articles because I knew you'd ask me, and then I thought, well, I don't have 20 minutes to reiterate what the Prime Minister said. But she did...
Did she say they're going to be transformative? Oh.
Highly likely that she did use that word, but I don't know. The quote that I do have is that she described her government as a government of infrastructure, a government of health, and mental health and a government of housing. What do you think about that statement?
That's all cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all cool. Except the housing part. You know, I mean, I was on the HNZ, Housing New Zealand.
Yeah, and then didn't you get dumped off that?
Well, not dumped. That's a bit harsh.
Oh, sorry. Didn't
I was
you?
just asked to leave. I was asked not to come back. Yeah, no, Twyford sacked me.
Okay.
The prick, basically. But hey, look what happened to him.
Yeah. Wow.
I think they overpromised. So I was a big fan of 100,000 houses over 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I actually think you can do it with a bit of nous.
Yeah.
But I don't believe I believe they loved the statement before they actually had a look at a plan.
Yeah.
And it should have been the other way around. And I think that was their major mistake. The other stuff, infrastructure. I mean, infrastructure for a nation is always good.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I don't care whether it's left or right that's doing it. It just so happens that Jacinda's the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
And she's doing it, and her ministers are doing it, and New Zealand First are doing it.
Yeah. And we have now got a Minister of Infrastructure, which we never had.
Yeah, that's right.
Shane.
Who's that?
Shane.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was Minister of Trees.
Forestry, yes.
Forestry, yeah. No, man, that's cool. And that's what, as long as there are jobs for New Zealanders.
Yeah.
And I always wonder that when we spend billions of dollars on infrastructure, is our money going on our own people, or is it going offshore and they come in to
Do the work.
to build stuff? I just think in New Zealand we're a bit slow in terms of our infrastructure build, and that's because we haven't got the population or anything like that.
We've got record low unemployment now.
Yeah, we have. We have. That's massive. I mean, who would have believed that would be down to 3.5% or some minute? You know, when I was the minister, Māori unemployment was
20%.
Yeah. Oh, close to it, 19.6.
Because I know, because I was watching you have a corridor with someone as I was doing my prep.
Yeah, and I mean, and it got down. Got down to 15%.
Yeah.
And I was stoked at that.
Yeah.
Nobody else was, but hey, yeah.
But see, this is why I talk about the things that you did when you were a minister for a number of years.
Yeah.
They made tangible changes.
Yeah, we did stuff that is still around today, and look, you have an opportunity and you go for it, just like Jacinda and them. Mm-hmm. They've got an opportunity.
Yeah.
No one thought they were going to win,
Yeah.
and when they did win, they had to actually knuckle down and do stuff.
And the other thing is keeping on governing
Yep.
until the election.
Yeah.
No time off, no stopping, even though I know it's easy in terms of government officials to say we're going into the election period, so we've got 3 months if we don't really do anything. No, you're elected to govern
That's right.
right till the election
to the
day.
end. Right to the end.
Keep pushing, keep making things
So on that basis, I mean, her statement is about what they are doing.
Yeah.
And really, you can't really argue about it. Not really.
So next one, so it kind of follows on from them being the government of health, is coronavirus. Now, I've talked about this every single week since we started the show, and it's got progressively worse. It was just labelled as a grave threat to the world by the United Nations, and then the World Health Organization chief said that it was greater than terror. It's now greater than terrorism.
Yep.
However, people who are coming to this country are still being asked to self-register. What is your view on that?
Okay, so I think in terms of, and I watched the Director General of WHO this morning, watching Sky News, and it seems to me that the number of people who are getting it in China is actually falling now. So I don't know whether they've reached peak coronavirus.
Yeah.
Between 44 and 54,000 people in China that have got it, and I don't know, 1,300, 1,400 have died. Mainly, people who have died have been affected, have had an pre-existing condition, whether it's heart disease, diabetes, asthma, or whatever. So it's particularly bad on those people. Is it worse than terrorism? Millions of people around the world die every year just from the common flu. Honestly, Have we overreacted? Most probably, but it's a good most probably. Would I shut my borders to everybody? Who do you shut the borders to? All Chinese people? Because it's not only Chinese who have got it now, because it's Europeans that have got it now too. So there's a few French, a few Poms have got it as well. Nobody over there has died of it yet. There's been, I think, one fatality out of the Philippines. There's a few Yanks that have got it. There's a whole boatload of people in Yokohama.
Japan.
And more of them have it as of this morning.
Yeah.
It's a threat. But like I say, so is the flu. So is Ebola in the poor old Democratic Republic of the Congo. That's a daily threat.
Yeah.
Poverty in Bangladesh is a daily threat.
Yeah.
I think we just have to be on guard. I think we have to put in place measures that will, if something does happen, we're ready, willing, and able to face that. But I don't think we should overreact.
Okay.
Because overreaction will get you to a place where we see a Chinese person and we say he's got coronavirus, and
Absolutely.
I just think that's the shittiest thing to say to somebody just because of their looks.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
you know, if you put a Korean and a Chinese and a Japanese up next to each other, not one Kiwi could be able to say he's the Chinese, he's the Japanese, because it's just racist. It's bigotry.
They're humans.
Yeah, they're just humans,
Just
mate.
humans.
And I just feel sorry for that whole Asian community living in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Not only the people coming to visit our nation or to study in our nation.
Yeah. Okay. So you think a little bit more calm is needed, but it looks like we're on like a good trajectory in the other way now.
Yeah, I think so. And just listening to some of the experts in the WHO, I think that's been one of the best things is the experts and the explanations that are coming out about the disease, and the Aussies are doing amazing work, the scientists, and trying to find a vaccine. Yeah. There's all sorts of questions out there, but generally I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Okay. Issue number 3 is about the ongoing increase of police presence in Tauranga. So this is due to growing gang rivalry and violent crime in the area.
Yep.
And these
It's all those old people that living in Tauranga. No.
What did they get angry about?
Yeah, they got angry. Their cup of tea wasn't made on time. No. I
Do you not have some concern about this?
Yeah, no, I do.
You know?
And because in any community, when you have an increase in violence, whether it be gang violence or whatever, any violence, I mean, it destabilizes the community. It destabilizes your family unit, the whole cohesiveness of a community. And I think the police, they get a bad rap sometimes. That we hate the police for lots of things. But at the end of the day, we love them when they
Protect us.
protect our communities. And so, it's, man, I don't know, must be the weather.
Hot.
It's too hot, so they start beating each other up and killing each other. Just last night, the two fellas that were found dead in a house. The worst thing about gang violence
What?
is that whānau are in each other's gangs.
Yeah.
Whānau's in the red one, whānau's in the blue one, whānau's in the yellow one. It's But I suppose I say that because I'm not a gang member, and I don't really know. I have a view on it, but I don't really know. I don't live with any gang members. I mean, I know some of the brothers, and they're so cool. They're cool. They're not rapists and not druggies.
No, I'm not saying that, but you're just not going to bring me around to this argument.
No, I don't want to, because I know that you're already dyed in the wall. You've got a view on it, and that's cool. A lot of people have, but I just can't get angry at it. If you're violent, if you are violent, I would expect the police to come and deal to you too.
Oh, absolutely.
Take you away on the paddy wagon.
But I'm also 5'3".
Hey, my nana was 4'9", and she married a 6'5". What the hell was that?
I'm not the most attacky person.
It's all good. It's all good. You know.
Issue number 4. Now, this one, calm yourself, though, because we might get a little bit heated.
No.
Sir Bob Jones, ongoing defamation trial regarding his satire column where he called for, quote, Māori Gratitude Day.
Yeah. The interesting thing is that it say this is a satire. It didn't.
No, it didn't.
It was just his view, and we're expected to know that it's satire. I don't believe it is satire. I think he's an old fool, quite frankly, and who doesn't like Maoris having a view and speaking up for themselves. How can you take a defamation case against what somebody else said, but you haven't read it? You know, that's the first thing I found out about the trial on the first day, that he hadn't read it. So how do you know that you were defamed, idiot?
Probably from people telling him, maybe.
Silly old man.
I think it's very interesting, this whole case.
Yeah.
I remember when it happened, when the young wahine said what she said. I got tagged in a few things on LinkedIn, you know, with my legal background, saying like, can you do something? Can you support? And it's almost like I was more just in shock of what that satire column said. Yeah. Which was, and I think it's just interesting to re-put it out on the record, quote, there are no full-blooded Māori actually said Māoris, like plural.
Yeah.
In existence, had it not been for migrants, mainly Brits, not a single Māori alive today would have existed. And then he went on to say there should be, quote, a public holiday where Māori bring us breakfast in bed or weed our gardens, wash and polish our cars, and so on, out of gratitude for existing.
Yeah, you know what's the worst thing about that?
What?
Is that somebody actually printed it.
It was NBR.
Exactly. So, you know, I don't mind Bob thinking that, or even writing it down on a piece of paper. I don't mind. But it's the pricks who printed that as an editorial, as an article, whether it was satire or not. You know, so the NBR are more culpable for sowing the seeds of racial discontent than Bob Jones is.
What would you say to the editor of NBR?
Oh, yeah, I mean, pull your head in and write something nice. You know, write something informative, for goodness sake. Nobody reads your rag now anyway. Honestly. NBR used to have stories about real things.
I like NBR. I think it's quite
quality. Oh, no, the old NBR was cool.
Oh,
I think the owner has passed away now, or the editor. And I liked it for its informative stuff, you know, information. I used to read the Financial Times. A kid from Otara reading that pink newspaper. Yeah. I used to love it because there were articles galore, not only about finances, but about people and about people's lives. And the NBR was a bit like that. But recently it's a rag. I wouldn't even wipe my backside with it.
Do you think that's almost like the state of journalism, though, maybe in New Zealand?
I don't think it's harsh to say that it's journalism. I think it's more than journalism, because I think sometimes it's easy for people like me. Maybe. I think it's the media, and I think it's the owners of the media. I mean, I look at the Herald now and then, and it's just full of adverts and white.
There's a lot of
stuff.
Well, there's a lot of opinion in it, which is what I find interesting, because everyone has an opinion. Yeah. And everyone's entitled to have an opinion. Yeah. And it kind of goes back to what you just were saying about Sir Bob Jones. Yeah. Is that you're entitled to think what you want, but allow us to say...
But why do you think there's been an increase in people on Twitter or on social media, and not just Twitter and Facebook, but there are a whole lot of other sites out there? You know, there's some nasty stuff out there that you can read. You know, that's real sick stuff. Yeah. But then there are other... well thought out stuff. You're doing it now, you know. So you've taken the big leap and putting your views and the views of your guests out there on another platform.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting time to be able to. I mean, this is a great mechanism. Yep. I mean, one of the other things, does it sort of bring you back to your radio days?
Yeah, it does. I really loved radio.
Yeah.
And it's a pity I sort of gave it away.
Yeah, let's get you back on there.
Oh, yeah, look, hey, I'd go work for News Talk ZB tomorrow. Or anybody that's surviving.
Yeah.
You know, it's a cool medium, and I love to talk to other people.
Do you reckon we could get Mike Hosking and Tau Henare show?
Hell no, I wouldn't work with him. No, I'm too putty for him. No, it's cool.
Yeah, and then the final story, and it's just pertinent to me as a host of this show because I had David Seymour on last week, and he had just done his State of the Nation, so his equivalent, and he did it at a business in Mount Eden called Eden Bistro, and that night, so the night after we had the show, that restaurant had its windows smashed in, and they believe that the attack was politically motivated. And I'm interested in your thoughts on this and the state of politics right now, if that's sort of some of the things happening. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's most probably it's more about a head case that didn't agree with Davey, that threw something through the window, hopefully. Because when it goes to the next level of organised political vandalism, and it doesn't matter who it's against, it doesn't matter whether it's against Labour, against National, against David, it's wrong. And I think you lost the plot if you go down that path. You no longer are thinking about politics, because politics is about ideas.
Yeah.
You know, some of them are real strange ideas, but that's cool.
Yeah.
And you can, if you've got a good argument, you can shoot them down.
Absolutely.
And I think as long as we don't get like America, you know, because I think that America is going to have another revolution. I personally believe that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
within this sort of like Trump era.
Absolutely. I think in the next 10 years, there are going to you look at the number of preppers.
Yeah.
You look at the number of militia.
Yeah.
You know, people with guns, a bag full of guns.
Yeah.
You know, and
It's scary.
That is scary. And, you know, you'll get the Appalachian, the Kentucky, the Tennessee, those sort of people. I mean, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that always interests me about American politics, is that they almost appear shocked that they have him as their president. People voted for him.
Yeah, mate, hey. They voted from, and then they moan about it. Yeah. A lot of people moan about it, and they say, well, actually, that's your system. Yeah. You allowed it to happen.
Yeah.
And it's not just the people who voted for him, because, you know, at the end of the day, when you look at Trump, he stuck it up the system.
Yeah.
And that's what his whole kaupapa has been about, was sticking it up the system.
Yeah.
And he's done that. I mean, I don't agree with him. I think he's a nut job, but hey. But I agree.
I agree with you.
I don't have to live with him. I live in a country that I'm happy to live in this country.
Yeah.
We have a whole range of issues: gangs, poverty, homelessness. But we don't have to blow each other up about it. Yeah. You know, if we get it wrong, I think we need to do more. I think we need to do more for the beneficiary out there. You know, for the poor sod on the unemployment benefit.
Yeah, it's not a nice feeling.
No, you can't expect some poor sod to live on that.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that's just me. And I'm no raving socialist or raving right wing nutter either. I'm just a general common sense person. Yeah. I hope.
Common sense was New Zealand's first tagline in 2017 election.
Maybe they should go back to it.
Maybe they'll just.
Maybe they will.
All right, well, we've got 5 minutes left.
Yep.
One of the things that I always do, as I mentioned at the top of the show, is get our guests to write a note for the future guest.
So who's coming on?
So next week, we have Vernon Tava. Do you know Vernon?
No, never heard of him.
He is the leader
Yeah. He's the environmentalist.
Leader of the Sustainability Party.
Yeah, he's just a Tory. That's all he is. He's a blue, what do they call it?
Blue-green.
Yeah, he's a blue-green.
I'm going to ask him that because he was a Green Party member for a long time.
Yeah, but then he didn't make it, so he went to the Tories. I mean, hey, I've been there before.
So he's going to be coming on the show. So I'm going to grab my pink box.
Yep.
And I'm going to get you to write your note.
Cool.
And then we'll get him to read it out. Did you have anything that you wanted to say back to your note?
To the people?
Well,
Oh, to who?
well, to your note,
To your
to
dad.
the people.
To your dad.
No.
Hey, bro. Your dad was the coolest man on radio.
Cool.
He had the voice.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have his voice.
It's a pretty special voice.
On it fits. You know, when you hear what's her face on Coast, Sabrutsky, Lorna.
Yeah.
Now Lorna has this most beautiful voice. Eva Retimanu.
Oh,
Neva.
Retimanu.
She has a voice.
Yes.
You know, they all have this voice.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. So, Vernon. Dear Vernon.
You don't need to tell us all now if you want to put something controversial.
Okay.
If you do want to put something, say, because we'll get him to read it out at the top of the show. He'll give you an answer, and we'll get that answer back out. And then the other thing that we always do is fruit bursts. Are you familiar with that candy?
Yeah.
I'm just interested to find out what is the most popular flavour among our political
Banana.
leaders. What?
Banana. I eat banana ones. You know those little marshmallow thingies, the Eskimos?
Yeah.
I like the banana ones.
Oh my God. So all of our guests so far
There's
said,
2 in there and I only got 1.
what do you want both of them?
Hell
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Don't be cheap.
Well, gotta work for these things.
You can lick that.
Thank you. I laughed with other guests saying, I bet you no one's going to pick banana. And there we have it.
Yeah. Oh, no. You know what's the best? How long we got?
We've got another 4 minutes.
Okay. So, get the blender.
Yeah.
Get French vanilla ice cream.
Is this his food with toe?
Yeah. Put it in a blender.
Yeah.
Get the really cold milk.
Yeah.
Maybe even throw a couple of ice cubes in it. Put it
Yeah.
in. And then put a banana in it. And whiz it up. Mate, banana milkshake.
Oh, beautiful. Though I'd much rather have a chocolate one.
Or you could put some French vanilla ice cream in a cup.
Yeah.
And you stick it underneath the coffee maker and you pour the
Coffee
espresso.
maker?
Yeah. And you
What
put your espresso
Are you
coffee.
sure you're not from Epsom Electric?
Hell no.
With your coffee maker?
No, I make coffee for my divorced wife.
Oh, man doing all the work.
Yeah.
I like it. That's good. Now, do you have anything any final thoughts? Any honourable Tau Henare final thoughts?
I'm really looking forward to the election in September.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be out there.
Yeah.
I don't think the Nats are going to get as much of a hiding as some people think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that Labour are going to win by as much as some people think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a hell of a interesting.
Mm.
And it is going to come down to who are the little parties.
Yeah.
Whether ACT's going to get back, Green Party's getting back, or New Zealand First is getting back.
Yeah.
Because I think both National and Labour are going to secure 40-odd% of the vote each.
Mm. What about Māori Party?
At the moment, I don't think they're on their way back.
Okay.
There's nothing in the Māori community that really resonates. I mean, I know you got the issue of whānau ora and how they've been, diddled out of what was in the budget. I know that JT is lurking around the Māori Party, and I think he will have a say in the future of the Māori Party.
Do you have a message for JT? He's going to be...
Oh, kia kaha, bro. And I mean, because I actually think that it's unfortunate that we don't have an independent Māori voice in Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
I love my brothers and sisters who are Māori in Parliament at the moment, but they don't represent a particular Māori view.
Mm.
They represent the Labour Māori view or the National Māori view, which is non-existent.
Do you think that Māori will ever have a Māori view?
Yeah, I think it'll come again. I think the great thing, I never ever like to say what we did.
Yeah.
Was a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but what we really did was make the Māori seats marginal, and I think it allowed for the Māori Party to come forward.
Yeah.
It'll come again one day.
Probably, hopefully one day soon.
Who knows, mate? Who knows? But like I said, we're not going to die the next day.
We're still here.
We're still here.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Cool.
I have asked JT to come on the show.
Yep.
So hopefully he's watching and he's got your kia kaha message.
Yep.
And then if we get him on the show, I'll make sure he says something back to you.
What's that Shawshank Redemption saying? Get busy living or get busy dying. And that's my mantra to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, get on with it, or else you're gonna die. You're gonna die doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we're all gonna die, so we may as well make it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. We have to get you back in another radio hot seat, mate.
Yeah. Put the word out there.
Yeah, I will.
News Talk ZB.
I'd love it. All right, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember, we stream live 3:30 till 4:30 with a guest every Thursday. Next week, we have Vernon Tava on. He's the leader of the Sustainability Party. He will be with us talking about all things politics and also reading Toe's Note. So, that's it for us today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week. Ka kite.
Later.